Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about astrology and Christmas, and I do see a strong correlation with this. What I find very intriguing and interesting is the fact that when the sun enters Sagittarius, somewhere around November 23rd, that it's time where people become very ebullient, they're very jocular, they're very happy, they get enthusiastic regarding the holidays with Thanksgiving and in Christmas. And you see such an expansive outlook. People are philanthropic. They want to give. They're getting ready to get their Christmas presents if they haven't gotten them already. And it seems like it's a strong time for giving, and people are expanding, so to speak, as far as their budget in many cases, and in going above, sometimes beyond what they're really within their means in order to buy something for somebody, or getting these Christmas gifts. And what I find interesting too is that in the U.S. Natal chart, United States natal chart, I know there's various ones, but it's interesting, the one that has Sagittarius rising, which seems to be a fairly common one, when Black Friday comes, that day for the massive shopping, uh, often in sales for people in the United States. This time this year, the sun was around in the United States. The sun was around 5 degrees Sagittarius, and the rising sign or ascendant for the United States in their natal chart is at 8 degrees, which is pretty close proximity. It's about 3 degree difference. And a lot of times when you have a sun, I think when it hits the ascendant, it could be a time for more vitality and energy. In a natal chart, if somebody has the sun in the first house, and or conjunct the ascendant, even if it conjuncts the ascendant from the 12th, it could indicate increased vitality in the person's natal chart, and more energy and stamina, endurance, and you see this energetic flow, I think, with the United States, with the Americans collectively um, during this period. And it's not only just that vitality, but it's that exuberant Sagittarius energy that takes place. And I find this very really interesting, the way this seems to play out around the holidays. Now, and what's funny too is what you look at, you see all this wanting to give, but what happens is when the sun enters Capricorn, around December 22nd every year, around that date, and at or around that date, and people become more serious, the disposition becomes more stern. I mean, it's right before Christmas, but at that point in time, I would say the majority of people have pretty much reached that point at the end of their shopping, and now it's getting near that point in time where people have to they're looking at New Year's aspirations and resolutions. They're thinking about, at that time they've spent a good amount of money, and a lot of people now are starting, maybe they're thinking about economizing now. And lo and behold, the sun is in economical Capricorn at that time, very pragmatic. People become more serious, and they're not quite as prone to be spending at that time on average, due to the fact that they've already completed the shopping as far as Christmas goes, and people are seriously maybe looking at maybe their New Year's resolutions and what they want to attain or achieve in the coming year. So it's funny how the transition seems to work, that you go from the sun in Sagittarius, sun in expansive Sagittarius, to the sun in real serious single-minded Capricorn, and people become more conservative at this particular juncture, in this particular time. And I really find it interesting how that works out, along with, as far as the transition going from that change from Sagittarius into the sign of Capricorn. And it sometimes people, I really think for some reason people do even become somewhat melancholy a little more so than average when the sun enters the sign. You're in winter, you're entering winter, and for some reason I've talked with people and they seem like they get a little bit more. I've had a number of people tell me they feel a little bit more despondent during the winter time, and Capricorn starts off that point is the first sign the sun enters. As far as when winter begins, that's the first sign that the sun resides in. And when you enter winter, you're entering the sign of Capricorn. And I don't really see this correlation as merely coincidental. I think there is a very strong point, and there's a very solid connection to it. So that's really what I wanted to get at as far as astrology and Christmas goes. And I think that it's interesting how you go from really you have this disparity, and you go from one kind of that real exultant and happy state, and then you become collectively people become a lot more serious and more somber, I think, on average when the sun does hit Capricorn, because it is time for making those plans for next year and getting down to serious business, so to speak. People might even be looking at what they did financially for that particular year. And of course, Capricorn, being an earth sign, is very economical, to say the least. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for astrology and Christmas. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone. Because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.